These days, more and more folks are turning to the church looking for answers to their questions. But the questions aren't always about our faith. Since we've established our garden ministry at St. John, we often get questions from new gardeners looking for help making their home gardens thrive. We think this is great because lessons from the garden often become lessons of the soul, when guided by Holy Scripture and the teachings of Church Fathers. So join us for some lessons from the garden.
Hi, this is Yerecki and Annie, and I am here to show you our worm composting bin today. Now we have two types of composting bins. One is with the worms, and another one is a tumbler here. And they both create compost, which is great for the garden. The worms tend to make kind of a richer component that we add to the soil, so I wanted to showcase how we do that. The reason why we're showing you this method is because composting is a big part of gardening, and we wanted to show you how we use our worm composting bin. So compost is decomposed organic matter, and it's our way of putting good beneficial nutrients back into the soil, into our garden for the plants and the seeds to utilize, and it's nature's way of recycling. So we're going to show you how we use our worm compost bin now. So as you can see, there are a couple different layers, and when we're putting organic matter into the compost, we're putting it on the top layer, and this is right now shredded paper, and underneath you can see the worms. Now it's important to have a good mixture of carbon and nitrogen, nitrogen being the green materials you're putting in, and carbon being the brown materials, whether it's shredded paper or egg cartons. You could have hay, and the nitrogen being fruits, vegetables, coffee, even weeds, as long as it hasn't gone to seed. I'm going to be putting some watermelon rinds in here, which is actually one of their favorite things to eat. There's also some coffee grounds in here, and they will eat this up within 2 days. And you might ask, how much can worms eat? They actually eat half their body weight per day. So if you have 2 pounds of worms in here, you can actually add a pound of compost of greens in here. And we mix it up with some of this, and we cover it back up with the shredded paper. So they are going to be working on that, and I'll show you what the second layer underneath, it will eventually be turning into this rich, sometimes called black gold. And this is just incredible, rich compost that you can add into your beds, your plants. And then down here, this bottom level is collecting all of the liquid. And this is also called compost tea. And you could mix this with some extra water and water your plants. And it's very high in nutrients. And the difference between compost and fertilizers are that compost is going to be releasing the nutrients slower over time. It's also going to help the soil aerate and keep the moisture. Fertilizer just gives the nutrients right away in a very fast manner. And so this is a easy and affordable way to compost at home and create your own black gold.
Thank you, Yerecki. It is amazing to see what those squirmy little worms can do when we let them be, and we give them our scraps. We give them the things that we don't need, and they create liquid gold out of it. They create compost and fertilizer and everything that our garden needs to thrive. You know, maybe you, like I, when you see worms, even for a second, even if you're accustomed to it, whether you're a child or an adult, maybe you have this moment of disgust or revulsion. It's squirmy and it's icky and it's gross. But it's part of creation. It's part of God's vision of creation. And it's clear to see why they do amazing things, even though we can't see it with our own eyes, and we often, if ever, appreciate the good work that something like an earthworm does that benefits you and I. In our lives, perhaps there are things, people, challenges, situations, whether they be small or large, that we fail to appreciate because we can't comprehend how they're part of God's plan, either for us on a personal level or part of His greater plan for the salvation of humanity. That doesn't mean that there's no purpose. That doesn't mean that because we can't see it, it has no value. But when we look closer and when we put our faith in God, when we have patience and we wait on Him, in time, the underlying purpose can be revealed. From the smallest of God's creations to the largest, they're all but an element in God's plan for our lives. And when we put our trust and our hope in Him, we feel our anxiety, we feel our stress, we feel the pain of the day and the pressures that are on us begin to lift away, because we know that we are part of that plan too. And if we only allow Him to, God will work through us and within us so that the products of our lives can also be beneficial for the world around us, just like the products of those little wiggly worms. All right, so good luck in your garden. May God bless you, and may God grant you the increase.